for black people, black liberals, black leftists, black progressives, black radicals, just black. Okay, I just want to pose a question. Y'all really think that it's okay for white people, white leftists, to call out black people on identity politics? And an identity they don't have? Do you really think it's okay for white leftists to talk about all skin folk ain't kin folk when they not even the skin folk?
This is anti-intellectual identity reductionism, but more importantly, this is liberalism. What do y'all want the 0.0000001% of white people who have actually done the reading you black liberals posture about to do? Because for me, knowing better is doing better. Saying that we're waiting for a white savior because we want white people to finally do the work is so disingenuous.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we are tackling a topic that has been causing a lot of friction on the internet for left-wing white people stepping up and calling out black people on what they are labeling as identity politics. But here is the real question. How can someone who's never experienced racism or has never lived the life of a black man in America step out and tell black people how they should react towards such struggles? In this video, we're gonna dive deep and see why this conversation is sparkling a major pushback and why it's critical for black people to own their stories, their pain, and their power. So let's dive into today's video, and then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna give my commentary.
This is for black people, black liberals, black leftists, black progressives, black radicals, just black. Okay, I just want to pose a question. Y'all really think that it's okay for white people, white leftists, to call out black people on identity politics? And an identity they don't have? Do you really think it's okay for white leftists to talk about all skin folk ain't kin folk when they not even the skin folk? They not even the skin folk? When their skin folk are the reason. Their skin folk are the reason, but because they have the right theory and idea, they have ideas that we agree with, you agree with, they can start talking to skin folk like they kin folk when they not even skin folk. I want to bring, is it possible that some of us allow what white people who are leftist, progressive, and radical and reading the right books, we allow them to do these things because maybe we believe in the white savior complex a little bit too much, and that's why supremacy and anti-blackness coming up internalized inside of us? Is it internalized anti-blackness that we can't check our own people? Even if our people need to be checked, maybe they are doing a little identity politics, maybe they aren't being kinfolk right now, but we can't trust that we can do that. Like we haven't already been doing that. Like the white leftists didn't get that from the black scholars who were already doing that. And then when they get called out for that, right, and we say, hey, that's a little anti-black, maybe you shouldn't be talking to black people like that, you want to defend instead of letting them get their lashes. What does that sound like?
I'm sorry, fam, but if they're right, then yes. And that has nothing to do with the white leftists and whatever the fuck they're saying, and everything to do with my trust and my own level of discernment. You know, like a lot of y'all be like, listen to black people, and y'all tend to forget that black people, the first black person they're going to listen to is themselves. I'm listening to me first before I listen to you or anybody else. Does it make sense to me? Am I catching it? All right, am I catching it? Is it weird? And then I go back out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like the white leftist is like the very first voice that I'm going to attach to. By the time I get to the white leftist that is agreeing with me, I already got like 30 other black people where I'm just like, okay, cool. We on the right track. And I'm not gonna lie to you, fam, this question has very strong but you're black first vibes, and I just can't I can't rock with that shit. I'm sorry. I have been too black, too queer, and too Haitian for too fucking long to rest anything on but I'm black first. If I gotta do that with y'all, I gotta do it with the hoteps, and I refuse. I'm not doing that shit. Like, come on, fam. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a whole slew of black people going anywhere and everywhere, some of them on national television, trying to propagate this xenophobic and white supremacist ass stereotype about Haitian migrants eating people's pets. I know for a fact that not all of them are Trump supporters. I know for a fact that a lot of them are going to vote for Kamala Harris come November 5th. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry. And if a white leftist were to pop up and just regurgitate some shit that I have myself already said, I'm not picking the ADOS motherfucker over my own words that just so happen to be repeated by some white person. That's just not happening. And fam, it's a very wild experience to have, okay? Because, like, it's like, damn, some of these white people really are listening to us. Some of these white people really are trying. And emphasis on some, okay? Emphasis on some. I can only count on, like, one hand the amount of white leftists I've seen actually listen to black leftists. Okay, they're not listening to y'all. I hope that's clear. You're not the black people that they're listening to. They're listening to niggas like me, right? And only on one hand have I seen them hear those things, hear those views, hear those perspectives, internalize them in addition to their theory, and turn that into praxis externally. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And when it does, it's kind of just like, it would be nonsensical of me to come on this app and argue down points I have made myself. It would be wild. That would be wild. As much cash money shit I be talking on all three of my accounts, for me to just come out of nowhere just because they're talking to some black person and be like, no, actually that's wrong, when I know for a fact 15 minutes from now I'm gonna say the exact same thing. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry, fam. I'm sorry. And I really think that y'all are ignoring the unfortunate dynamic that black radicals just have to have when it comes to dealing with white leftists. Because y'all niggas don't listen to us. You don't listen to us at all. I guarantee you that there were at least 15 black people on this app alone that said exactly what Madeline said. Exactly. And they probably said that shit a year and a half ago. And y'all niggas didn't hear nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Because black radical thought and political analysis can only be heard if it comes out of a white mouth. That's the reality of the world that we live in. And the trade-off for that shit to make it outside of the choir that we're preaching to, those white leftists have to deal with all of the backlash that comes with saying that shit out loud. It's unfortunate, but that's the dynamic. And honestly, that's why you have so many black radicals just sitting back and being like, damn, it sure is unfortunate to witness what y'all are doing to these white people. But say la vie, you know? Because like in 15 minutes, there's gonna be another white leftist regurgitating something that one of the black radicals on this app said 2.5 years ago. And we're gonna spend another weekend of y'all being mad at them for saying the shit. So it's like, I don't know what you want me to say. See y'all same time next week.
White leftists to call out black people on identity politics.
This is anti-intellectual identity reductionism, but more importantly, this is liberalism. What do y'all want the 0.0000001% of white people who have actually done the reading you black liberals posture about to do? Because for me, knowing better is doing better. Saying that we're waiting for a white savior because we want white people to finally do the work is so disingenuous.
First of all, who are you talking to like that? Who are you talking to with that abrasion? Y'all talk on here like you can't run up in people and you can't talk face to face, and it gives you a little more gumption. So I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need us to bring it down because I didn't come like that. You're not gonna come like that at me. First of all, I want white people in general, which includes white leftists. The leftists don't make them not white, to know when to stay the fuck in their lane. Know what the lane is and know when to stay in it, which should be in the readings that we're all doing, right? Right? Because it's not just about whiteness. When I'm talking about identity politics and skin folk not being kinfolk being called out, I'm talking about people being outside of a group, trying to call people out in a group where they don't even experience that oppression. And I find that fucking bonkers. I didn't say it's not something to be called out, right? And if you actually fucking knew me, you would know that I have talked about, even though your little snarky little caption said that OP doesn't even address it herself. Shocker! I have. The larger issue I'm talking about is white people having the audacity to tell black people what they're seeing isn't racism, or how someone said something wasn't racist, or how someone addressed them wasn't racist. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. And if you strictly believe that white people, the white leftists specifically, because they read a couple books, can tell black people what you're seeing, there's no racism at all in this context. No, not at all. We are vehemently going to disagree. From the bachelors and the masters and the research and the readings and the organizing and the protesting, I've also learned that I need to shut the fuck up sometimes too. It don't matter how much I fucking know. If a dark-skinned black man got on here talking about something and maybe needed to be corrected on whatever the issue was, and in the correction someone was being colorist and she clocked it, I would never fix my Fenty medium ass to tell her, you're not dealing with colorism. If a trans woman was like, hey, yo, I'm kind of experiencing a little transphobia, or the way that you're going about this is a little transphobic, I would never fix my cisgender ass to say, no, girl, that's not what's happening. The girl is over here talking about texturism in the black community. All right, my job is not to tell the type 4, 4C girlies about texturism. My job is to make sure the 3B brigade back here with me shuts the hell up and make sure they ain't perpetuating texturism in the natural hair community. My positionality has to be included in my praxis. It has to be included in my call out. It has to be included in my call in. And this has been something that I've had to actually learn. It's been some growth. It's been some shit I've seen people do on here. Y'all be thinking that just because you might know something, you are the person to deliver that fucking message. And maybe y'all ain't got popped in the mouth or called out enough. I don't know. But sometimes you are not the person to deliver that message. So if a black person is wrong, if a black person is identifying with identity politics too much to where they're not worried about any other issues, that is wrong. We have said this. And if them and other black people clock that a white person correcting them has a little bit too much dip on their chip, and there's a little bit of anti-blackness and gaslighting coming through, we have a right to clock that. So before a white leftist fixes their lips to tell a black person they're not experiencing racism or microaggressions or macroaggressions, or you care too much about black issues over this, they need to make sure that their brethren ain't racist, that their brethren ain't perpetuating micro and macroaggressions, that their brethren is worried about black issues. It's giving paternalism. It's giving manifest destiny. It's giving white savior. It is. That is a pillar of white supremacy. It ain't just white leftists do. White people, white conservatives do that. Why wouldn't it trickle down if that is an aspect of whiteness and white supremacy? Why wouldn't it trickle down to other spaces? Come on, y'all.
I feel like the white leftist is like the very first voice that I'm going to attach to. By the time I get to the white leftist that is agreeing with me, I already got like 30 other black people where I'm just like, okay, cool. We on the right track.
So to address Haven's video, you know, I can fix my tone now because like there was respect. There's respect here. I hear the points about by the time we get to the white person who's saying these things, there's already 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 black people already saying the same thing. And I agree. Which is why I said in another video, I want to hear it from those black people, because I know behind a white leftist, there's 50 black people saying the same exact thing. Let these people, let me, let her, let them hear it from them. Because to me, the likelihood of anti-blackness spewing out from them is way lower than the white leftist who has lived their whole life as a white person and being indoctrinated with white privilege and just having spots that they are not going to be able to see when that white privilege is fully on the surface. How you gonna tell somebody that their skin folk ain't being kinfolk when you're not even the skin folk? You don't even know you can't look at politics and social issues through our lens because you don't have the lens. You ain't got the glasses. Your eyesight damn near perfect. And to the point where people sometimes don't listen till a white face says it. So you agree. There is a doubt that black people can successfully call in each other about these issues, and that we may need to hear it from a white person. I don't believe that. White people ain't never liberated black people. White people have never liberated black. How is the group that has oppressed us, right, built the system to oppress us, be the ones to liberate us? Now, I ain't saying black people aren't difficult. You've known the shit I've dealt with on this app from different intersections within the black community. I ain't saying black people aren't difficult. I'm not saying we can't leave some folks behind. I ain't saying that all skin folk are kinfolk, because they not. I'm saying that certain call-ins should be for us, reserved for us. And one of those to me is the discussion on whether or not a black person was experiencing racism. I think a white person needs to stay in their fucking lane, because how would you know? Which is why I'm having the conversation with black folks. Right? This has opened up the door for a lot of non-black people to be talking crazy in the comments, and I'm letting you know I'm not addressing any of you. I'm not, because this is a B&B conversation. Black and black. These are all things I've had to look in with myself, like the examples I gave earlier, and that I've been checked on. And in my questions to Christina, am I so concerned with being right, being knowledgeable, knowing this theory, knowing the facts, versus being able to connect with people and understand them and get them to see what I'm talking about, or get them to actually agree? Do I always have to be the messenger? Why? What part of my ego is telling me, what part of some of my privileges are telling me I always have to be the messenger? Maybe that's a question that a lot of people need to fucking ask themselves. Maybe I don't need to talk. Maybe I need to shut the fuck up every once in a while. Okay? And a part of me thinks it's the fact that people talk behind a screen. Again, we're not getting popped in the mouth or clocked enough. It's not happening. The screen is emboldening a lot of y'all, like, oh boy, in the beginning. Be real emboldened. That's why he will be blocked after this. But yeah, I will not ever in the near future believe that white leftists have a right to tell black folks what they're experiencing is or isn't racism in the midst of them being called out for stuff, because they can't call them in. And if you believe that, we are simply agreeing to disagree, and it is what it is.
First of all, fam, I would like to preface this by saying thank you for de-escalating the energy so that we could actually have a dialogue and an exchange of ideas, as opposed to the TikTok slugfest that so many of these fucking spectators want to have. Because I was not interested, especially not with my mutuals. Like, I'm not interested in that bullshit. Okay, I am tired. Okay, I just got called a black bitch by a random white man at 6 o'clock this morning. If I was not gonna give that nigga my morning, I was not gonna give y'all niggas my afternoon. I just wasn't gonna do it. So thank you, because now I actually want to engage. As you have framed it here, I absolutely agree with you. Okay, like, yes, people of privilege do not have the space to tell people who are suffering underneath that privilege whether or not that suffering exists. I agree. We are in accordance, right? But to be honest and transparent, that is not the framing that I took from your question. So my response to you is not in regards to that, right? Like, when I say that black radical thought is not heard unless it comes out of a white mouth, that's not in regards to who can check who can call in who, or any of that. That's not in regards to that, right? And fam, to keep it a stack, I took it to heart when you said that it feels like I'm just focusing on one thing and it feels like you're being gaslit. Because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm really just trying to be 100% honest with you so that you know who you are parasocially in community with on fucking TikTok. You know what I'm saying? So I want to give you an example of context that was provided to me, and I want to give you my genuine reaction to it, or my genuine opinion on it. And I'm not going to say anybody's names, because to me, it's not about the people, it's about the behavior. And also, I've said both of them motherfuckers' names enough. We not even fucking. I should not be saying either of your names this fucking much, okay? Just keeping it honest, okay? At some point in the conversation, it was said, I don't give a fuck about Democrats, fuck them, they're evil, right? Paraphrasing, of course. And the response to that was, well, most black women vote Democrat, so are they evil too? Now, fam, if y'all were to have asked me that question, I would have dead ass said, probably. Fucking probably. You know what I'm saying? I understand that most black people in general are voting for this fucking party out of duress. But I also accept the reality that a lot of these motherfuckers are voting for this party because they are fucking evil. I understand that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been fuck black Democrats since 2007 for me. I don't fuck with them. I have the same level of ire and disdain towards black Democrats as I do black Republicans. To me, the only difference between these two groups is that the black Republicans are smart enough to know how to get more money out of these white people. That is it. So again, I cannot, in good conscience, come out here and talk down points that I would have made or said even more extremely. I just can't. I want this conversation to happen because I feel like we need to know who we're in community with. I don't fuck with black Democrats. And I know a lot of my mutuals are gonna be voting for the motherfuckers. And it breaks my fucking heart. It breaks my heart. But I am in community with you because I value you more than that vote. Are mutuals because I value you beyond what you're doing with that fuck ass party. It feels a lot like y'all are just in an abusive relationship and I just need to fall back and let y'all handle it. You will leave when you're ready. That's where I stand at this point. I can't make you. You know what I'm saying? And I won't make you. What I will do is just exist around you, appreciate what you bring to my life, and hopefully give you something of value that you can take. Because I also know that eventually a lot of our connections are going to end. I know that. We are not going to be mutuals forever. I don't know about like me and you or whatever, but like in general, there's a good chance that I'm not even going to be mutuals for long with the black radicals who followed me this week to keep it a stack. But I at least want y'all to know, like, hey, this is where I stand and it's not going to change. And I'm definitely not changing that tune because some white bitch said something like that. And as long as we are in agreement to that, and as long as we understand where we are and we're not trying to be malicious towards each other, then it's fucking Gucci. That's how I see things. That's my opinion on this whole entire situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. You know what I'm saying? I have my own bias and agenda while I'm on this app, much like you guys do. I don't try to stand in the way of y'all shit. I hope you don't try to stand in the way of my shit. That's it. That's all I can ask of you. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can ask of you. Because at the end of the day, I just got called a black bitch at 6 o'clock in the morning. Why the fuck am I doing this with y'all?
One thing I want to state here, there is no amount of reading or intellectual, advice that you can give that can come close to what it means to be a black man in America. With that said, guys, I want to state this actually. My point is the lived experience versus the outside perspective. The point and the issue of racism within black community or against the black community in the US is actually deeply rooted in their livelihood and in their experiences with systematic racism that they face from day to day. And white far left or white left wingers might have the best of intentions, but they can never actually come close to even knowing how it feels to have racism done against you in a systematic way of oppression. So the psychological and emotional trauma here is actually too huge. So instead of white people trying to speak over black people and making them feel a certain way or making them realize that they cannot feel a certain way, actually you should listen. You should listen and try even to imagine and understand what black people go through. Another thing I want to talk about is the issue of white saviorism. Well, in this case, guys, white people in the far left wing actually fall into the trap of trying to guide and rescue black people and guide them in how to fight their battles. But in doing this, they actually patronize black people and fall into the same system of power and control that they claim to oppose. So this system of white saviorism actually undermines the autonomy of black people to be able to make their own decisions in how they feel, in how they fight their battles, in how actually they render and go through about their day-to-day lives, which is actually a setback, and ain't no black people or black woman or black man that actually can agree to such a system of control over them. They have had enough with all these kind of oppressions through the years. And the last thing, guys, I want to talk about is, people in privilege, actually white privilege, which is people of privilege, guys, do not have the space to tell people underneath that privilege how or whether or not the sufferings that they go through exists. That when you are white in America, there are some certain things that you don't go through as you grow up or as you go through, your daily activities. But for a black man or for a black woman, it is actually very, very different, because even the simple fact of walking on the street just with this melanated skin, you have those kinds of police profiling whenever there is a crime committed in a community. You cannot even go into these super rich communities or white communities without being profiled to be dangerous, which is something that doesn't come with a melanated skin. But for white privilege, people can get away with anything. Actually, people can get away with a lot of things. You do not get profilings to be dangerous in a society. So guys, I don't know what you think about today's video. What do you think? Do white people have actually the space to be calling out black people and telling them about their sufferings, whether or not their suffering is genuine, whether or not their racism is minute, macro or micro? What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think about today's episode? And if you're new to this channel, kindly remember to subscribe, like the video, share, drop a comment, and as always guys, see you in the next episode.